In the temple of marriage, I picked up a fortune slip. Fortune telling is not easy, so I waited here for the owner, and my best friend called me foolish. She said that perhaps someone had intentionally discarded it. Unexpectedly, the owner soon came looking for it. He turned out to be Liu, the son of the wealthiest man in the capital city. Soon we fell deeply in love, as Liu was exceptional in looks, character, and family background. My best friend, jealous that I had found a wealthy man and was living a good life, falsely accused me of stealing the signed paper. When I called her for help, she even spread rumors to Liu, causing me to be beaten to death by the extremely possessive Liu. In this life, she quickly picked up that signed paper and obtained the good marriage she had always dreamed of. Dang, the sound of the temple bell ringing suddenly jolted me awake. A red fortune slip appeared in my hand, and I flicked it away. Li Xuanxuan, standing nearby, quickly bent down to pick it up, shoving me aside forcefully as she shouted, "Whose marriage fortune slip is this?" This scene gradually overlapped with the previous life, but the difference was that in the previous life, I was the one who picked up that fortune slip. Li Xuanxuan sneered at me for meddling in other people's business and left without waiting for me to find the owner. I did a good deed, but in the end, I met a tragic fate. Li Xuanxuan's eyes kept darting around, as if she were genuinely eager to find the owner. "Where is Liu? Where is he?" Suddenly, I heard a voice from another time and space. It was Li Xuanxuan's inner thoughts. She was also reborn. At that moment, a gentle male voice sounded from behind. "This is what I lost. It's Liu." Even though I knew I had been reborn, I couldn't help but feel afraid upon hearing this voice. I shrank behind Li Xuanxuan, trying to make myself less noticeable. Upon hearing this voice, Li Xuanxuan didn't seem as frightened as I was. Instead, she eagerly stepped forward. "Did you get that fortune slip for love? Don't lose it, or you might never find a wife." Her tone was playful and lively, full of youthful energy. "No need. I think it has already helped me find it." Liu had a clean and refreshing appearance, with a hint of compassion and gentleness in his eyes, looking every bit the upright gentleman, not to mention his family was wealthy. Making his speech and demeanor truly top-notch, Li Xuanxuan was instantly captivated, glancing at me triumphantly out of the corner of her eye. "His eyes are finally on me. My good days are about to begin." Seeing Liu gazing at Li Xuanxuan with such infatuation, my heart has been racing non-stop. It was exactly this kind of affectionate look that deceived me back then, making me wholeheartedly believe in him. In my previous life, she had always envied me for having such a devoted boyfriend, saying I was just lucky to have found that piece of paper. Then she turned around and spread rumors everywhere, claiming that I had stolen the paper and pretended to have found it. But at that time, Liu didn't believe it. Perhaps he didn't care how that piece of paper ended up there. He only cared about me. He followed me every day, his eyes never wanting to leave me for a moment, as if he wished he could meld me into his very bones and blood. In my previous life, it was because I dared to run away from his sight without permission. Li Xuanxuan reported me, even fabricating lies that I had eloped with someone else. As a result, he found me, and I ended up being beaten to death. Now, if Li Xuanxuan wants this excellent marriage, she can have it. I couldn't be more relieved. But the grievances between the two of them, Han Jianxue, have engraved in my heart, and I am determined to make them pay the price. To thank Li Xuanxuan for her small favor, Liu specifically invited her out for a cup of coffee. She naturally couldn't ask for more, but she looked back at me with a troubled expression. "But my friend is still here. Let's skip it this time. Next time, we'll exchange contact information and make plans another day." Li Xuanxuan wanted to play hard to make Liu more interested in her more quickly. Only then did Liu spare me a glance. He had originally intended to just take a quick look, but suddenly he fixed his gaze on me and said, "Why does this friend seem somewhat familiar to me?" His words nearly scared me out of my wits, as if the deep-seated pain was still spreading through my body. Not only was I startled, but even Li Xuanxuan's heart was in her throat. I lowered my head and said, "I have a common face. I look a bit like everyone." Suddenly remembered I have something to take care of at home. Xuanxuan, I should head out first. But seeing my timid and hesitant demeanor, Liu quickly lost interest in me and turned to look at Li Xuanxuan. Watching them disappear from my sight, I finally let out a sigh of relief. In the evening, Li Xuanxuan stood at my doorstep calling for me, shyly saying, "Jianxue, I'm going to start dating." I exclaimed in surprise, "So soon?" While observing my expression, she said, "Yes. I think it's fast too, but Liu told me I'm his destined one, and we're meant to be together." "And do you know who he is?" "Who is he?" I pretended not to know and followed up with her question. "It's the Liu family, the wealthiest family in the capital. I'm going to be a rich lady from now on." Seeing her expression of happiness, I couldn't help but mutter to myself, "I'm afraid you might have the luck to get it, but not the life to enjoy it." Ever since that day, Li Shuang's mother would come by my house to show off whenever she passed by, looking down at me and saying, "Shuer, just find a decent man and get married. Not everyone is as lucky as my Shuang, who found a boyfriend who's good-looking, kind-tempered, and from a wealthy family." I smiled without saying a word. The public opinion is already overwhelmingly one-sided now, and by the time Li Shuang notices something is wrong, there will be no way out, just like me back then. When I wanted to break up with Liu, everyone said I was ungrateful and spoiled. Liu just smiled in the face of my crazy scolding, never refuting it in front of others. It made me seem even more unreasonable. Li Shuang always likes to tell me about her and Liu, even their kisses. She stared at every subtle expression on my face, thinking to herself, "In your previous life, you were with Liu. In this life, I snatched him away from you. It's a pity you don't know that the boyfriend who loved you so much in your past life can also love me this much." She imagined the cliché scenario of two women fighting over one man, and she won. I really don't want to compete with her at all. I'd even be fine with her taking everything she wants. Jiangshui, look, he bought me so many things again. I told him I didn't want them, but he insisted on giving them to me. So annoying. Li Shuang said it was annoying, but in reality, she was overjoyed inside. These things must be expensive, right? I've never seen them before, I pretended to say with envy. Liu has no originality when it comes to giving gifts. It's precisely because he doesn't want to put in the effort to choose that he has everything. At this, Li Shuang started to get proud again. They're all name brands. Ridiculously expensive. I really don't know why anyone would buy these. Still pretending to be considerate, she turned to ask me, "Why don't you pick a couple of things?" I found Liu's things disgusting, so I quickly shook my head and refused. It would be a waste to give me such nice things. I don't even know how to appreciate them. Li Shuang quickly took the things back. She never really intended to give them to me in the first place. She just wanted to show off. If you're looking for a boyfriend, you should find one like this, gentle, generous, and who loves me enough. Even Li Shuang herself didn't expect things to go so smoothly. It turns out that the signed paper really had magic, making Liu easily fall in love with whoever picked it up. I heard her cursing me in her heart. "Who told Liu to have his heart and eyes only on you in his past life? Now I'll make you watch our happiness with your own eyes. Bitch, bitch, bitch," I sneered. This Li Shuang just couldn't stand others living better than her. "You're right. I'll definitely tell you when I find a boyfriend." That actually made me realize something. Liu likes clean people. As long as I get a boyfriend, he'll definitely never look at me again. A flicker of disdain flashed in Li Shuang's eyes as she thought to herself, "What kind of lowlife could you possibly find? Without Liu, you're nothing." The next day, I went to find Li Shuang and told her I was in a relationship. It was Chen Zhao, who had been obscure in his previous life. Ordinary and unremarkable, yet he possessed the vibrancy of life. Upon seeing this, Li Shuang indeed burst into laughter. "Jiangshui, if you can't stand seeing me in a relationship out of envy, you shouldn't just find someone to date at random. He's just a lowly laborer. How much can he possibly earn in a month, working himself to the bone? When the time comes, I'll talk to Liu and have your boyfriend work at his company. He could earn more there, and at the very least, it's a Fortune 500 company. It would sound impressive when mentioned. Hurry up and marry him, then have a poor child together as a poor couple." Though she spoke words of disdain for him, deep down she was eager for us to be together. "By the way, Jiangshui, Liu invited me to his house to meet his parents tomorrow. What should I wear?" Li Shuang's attention quickly shifted back to Liu. Her eyes filled with the excitement of happiness within reach. They met each other's parents after just 5 days of knowing each other. During this time, Liu picked her up and dropped her off in luxury cars every day. Each time she returned, her hands were full of various designer brands, with big and small bags, enjoying endless glory. Li Shuang's mother came to my house even more frequently, her smug and boastful face making me find it amusing. "Jiangshui, you have no idea how much his mother likes me." Li Shuang extended her hands, on which she wore a high-quality emerald green bracelet. They even said I was the daughter-in-law sent to them by the matchmaker, that it was destined by fate, and they couldn't wait for Liu to marry me into the family tomorrow. She smiled so widely that her mouth seemed about to split open. In my previous life, there was also such a scene, but I was more conservative and felt it was moving too fast, so I didn't agree. So I asked curiously, "Are Liu's parents at home?" "Yes. His father is nothing like his serious appearance on TV, so incredibly kind. See this bracelet, it's made of high-quality jade, worth at least several $100,000. I glanced sideways at the bracelet. If it were real, it would easily be worth close to 10 million. In my previous life, I never met Liu's parents. It seems they must have known about their son's mental issues, otherwise How could a wealthy family of their status casually let a girl they'd only known for 5 days into their home and even give such an expensive piece of jewelry? After I marry him, the first thing I'll do is replace the nanny at his house. She's old and ignorant, yet she still dares to boss me around. What does she think she is? She must have been here for so long that she's started to think she's the mistress of the house. She's just a cleaning lady, a servant, when the time comes. I'll make her understand the true meaning of class difference. Li Shuangsheng raised her head, her eyes filled with disdain. I watched coldly from the side. She truly had no idea that in wealthy households, a nanny who has served for a long time isn't someone you can just replace at will. The longer they've been there, the more invaluable their status in the family becomes. Everything about his family is quite satisfactory, except for this house. The decor is a bit dated, all solid wood. So old-fashioned, but Liu said we won't live here after we get married. He has a large flat in the city center, and it will be decorated entirely according to my preferences. Li Shuangsheng chattered on about her future plans, already acting as if she had married into the family. I just stared at her bag without saying a word. There was no way Liu would let his prey wander around on their own. I knew his possessiveness all too well. Li Shuangsheng's bag, her shoes, even the pigeon egg-sized necklace he gave her, any of them could be hiding his surveillance devices. Once targeted by him, there is almost no escape except death. However, she will never be able to marry into the Liu family, because in my previous life, when I was trying to escape, I overheard Liu talking to his parents on the phone. It turns out that all these years, the reason he hasn't married me isn't because the timing wasn't right, but simply because if I were to die after the marriage, it would bring bad luck and leave the esteemed young master of the Liu family with the unfortunate record of being a widower for no reason. They saw no need for it. Anyway, they have money. Liu can date whoever she wants. If she dies, it's just her fate. She wasn't meant to enjoy such fortune. Li Shuangsheng noticed I hadn't said a word the whole time and inwardly scoffed at my foolishness, thinking I was just jealous. Come on, let's go. Li Shuangsheng kept pestering me over the phone, urging me to join the gathering with Liu Yu's friends. I know she must be feeling a bit resentful because I turned down her previous invitations and didn't get to witness her happiness firsthand, but now that I've finally managed to escape, why would I willingly put myself back in harm's way? Jianshui, if you don't come, I'll be angry. Li Shuangsheng pretended to scold from the other end. I've asked Liu to pick you up. He's almost at your building now, so hurry up and come down. Hearing this, I bolted upright from the bed and leaned over the windowsill to look down. Sure enough, a black Passat was approaching. I couldn't help but angrily say, Li Shuangsheng, what are you doing? Liu is your boyfriend, and I already have a boyfriend, on the other end. Li Shuangsheng didn't seem to care. Oh, come on, not only would he pick you up, he'd even go pick up Neza if I asked. He's so obedient. Li Shuangsheng's voice suddenly sounded a bit strange, with some soft panting coming through the phone. Soon, she hung up the phone directly, ignoring my shouts. I was dumbfounded. How dare she? If I'm not mistaken, she should be at Liu Yu's brother's gathering right now, surrounded by Liu Yu's people. She actually had the nerve to openly flirt with someone else. She really has a death wish. To prevent Liu from having a strong impression of me, I simply threw on a denim jacket and went downstairs without any makeup. He was the only one in the car, but I still sat in the back seat. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror and greeted me, but I merely responded with a hum and immediately lowered my head to play on my phone, treating him as if he were just an ordinary driver. In reality, my hands were trembling slightly, and even though I was sitting far from him, I could still catch a faint scent of blood. Sure enough, we spent the first half of the journey in silence. Just when I thought we could quietly reach the destination, Liu spoke up. Miss Han, I don't know why, but from the moment I first saw you, I felt an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if I've met you somewhere before. Upon hearing this, I looked up in shock. Just in time to meet his gaze in the rearview mirror, cold sweat instantly broke out on my forehead. Feigning composure, I said, I don't think I've met you before. Maybe it's because I'm Shuangsheng's friend that you feel a sense of familiarity. His expression in the rearview mirror softened slightly upon hearing the name Shuangsheng. Maybe so. Then the WeChat message I sent to Qin Zhao finally had an effect. Qin Zhao called me, and this one call lasted all the way until we reached the destination. I reluctantly hung up the phone, and in the meantime, Liu never got another chance to make small talk with me. This was an extremely lavishly decorated KTV, likely owned by one of those rich second-generation heirs. They booked an enormous private room, where the flashing lights were dazzling. Li Shuangsheng was a bit drunk, slumped in a corner of the sofa, with no one around her. Her clothes were somewhat disheveled, and she exuded a sweet, cloying scent. Seeing this, Liu walked over to her, reached up to gently stroke her face, and called her name. It took Li Shuangsheng a long time to react, looking at Liu with a dazed expression before leaning in for a kiss. Li Shuangsheng's hands were restless, reaching down toward Liu's lower body, completely disregarding the fact that there were so many people around. Liu's expression changed abruptly. He pushed Li Shuangsheng away and stood up. Evading her entanglement, he turned to look at me and said, "Miss Han, Shuangsheng has had too much to drink. Could you please take her to her room?" I sat there, seeing everything clearly. Whether Li Shuangsheng was drunk or not, I think I knew better than he did. Hearing the anger in Liu's tone, Li Shuangsheng finally woke up leisurely. "Liu, you're back. I've missed you so much." She rushed towards Liu, tightly hugging his arm as if afraid he might run away. Then, as if noticing me for the first time, she exclaimed joyfully, "Jianshui, you're here." She walked straight towards me, showing no trace of the drunkenness from just moments ago. He forcefully pulled me into the crowd and introduced me to everyone. Seeing those familiar faces, I felt a chill run through my entire body. I know all these people, and none of them are any good. In fact, I should have sensed something off about Liu from them. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. These rich second-generation kids are scum, acting without principles and having no moral bottom line. What kind of good person could Liu be, being such good friends with them? Liu sat in the shadows, only his sharply defined jaw visible, making his expression unclear. I know, Li Shuangsheng's good days are about to come to an end, because Liu likes clean girls. I forced myself to play around with those rich second-generation kids, even enduring them taking advantage of me a couple of times. Seeing me get along so well with them, Li Shuangsheng raised her chin and said in a harsh tone, "You refused to come out before no matter what, but now you're having a great time, aren't you? If you ask me, you should just dump that shabby boyfriend of yours. Which one here isn't better than him?" She spoke without thinking at all. Saying such things in front of everyone not only embarrassed me but also made the rich second-generation kids, who were compared to a shabby boyfriend, look bad. More importantly, what she said made it sound like she brought me here to find a boyfriend who's rich but not too bright. The cheerful and lively atmosphere among the group instantly fell silent, with everyone looking at Li Shuangsheng. Li Shuangsheng was startled by the sudden change in mood and quickly realized that what she had just said was inappropriate. She hurriedly tried to smooth things over, saying, "Hey, if it weren't for the fact that you've never seen the world before, and I always think of you wherever I go, why would I bring you here?" Her explanation only made things worse. The group of wealthy second-generation heirs were all sharp-minded, but no one stepped in to help her out of the awkward situation. They simply watched her stand there, stumbling over her words and digging herself deeper into a hole. "This is deliberately embarrassing her." Li Shuangsheng got anxious, reached out, and grabbed the arm of the man who clearly had something going on between them. "Hao Xian, what do you say?" The rich second generation named Hao Xian just smiled and didn't say a word. Liu stood up from the corner, reached out, and put his arm around Li Shuangsheng's shoulder. "You all have fun, this round is on me." When others saw Liu stepping in to smooth things over, clearly backing Li Shuangsheng, everyone started chatting and laughing as if they hadn't heard the earlier little incident. I heard Li Shuangsheng cursing me wildly in her heart. Damn it, if it weren't for that bitch Han Jianshui, how could I have made such a fool of myself? I didn't take it to heart. Go ahead and curse, you won't have many more chances to curse me, and it won't cost me a thing. Li Shuangsheng had originally wanted me to watch her navigate Liu Yu's social circle with ease and envy her extravagant, indulgent lifestyle. Who would have thought I'd end up seeing her make such a fool of herself? After returning, Li Shuangsheng kept a lower profile and didn't mention to me again how well she got along with Liu Yu's friends. Liu treated her just as before, if not even better. Brand-name jewelry was delivered to her home every day without fail, and Li Shuangsheng's mother was so delighted she couldn't stop smiling. The neighbors all envied her family for finding such a good son-in-law. Some even asked Li Shuangsheng to introduce them to a rich second-generation heir as well. Li Shuangsheng's mother raised her chin proudly. "What do you all know? My daughter and her husband didn't just meet casually. It was the red thread of fate tied by the matchmaker, a destined bond. Our Li Shuangsheng is their family's lucky star. Otherwise, why would they be so eager to pursue her? But I'm still hesitating about whether to marry my daughter into their family." This boast was so exaggerated it could reach the heavens, but others could also see how diligent Liu was every day, so naturally, they flattered her with kind words. Liu often takes Li Shuangsheng abroad for trips, staying away for a week at a time, and the longest they've been gone is a month without returning. Her mother never seemed worried at all. Li Shuangsheng said she's been feeling down lately because of the hot weather, and Liu couldn't bear to see her upset. So he took her out to relax. Liu is about to make his move. I go about my daily work as usual, occasionally making phone calls with Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao is a good person, with a down-to-earth and simple personality, who works diligently, doesn't smoke or drink, but loves playing games. However, he is very rational and never spends money on in-game purchases. Life follows a routine, and I really enjoy this peaceful lifestyle. But I can't relax just yet. I still have unfinished business. Until this despicable couple gets what they deserve, it's not over. I am secretly gathering information on Liyu's parents, hiring professional detectives to dig up their secrets. The history of such successful individuals can't withstand deep scrutiny. I have gathered all the evidence and am just waiting for the right moment to catch them all in one fell swoop. I will make them pay back everything they owe us. When I saw Li Shuangshuang again, she had tanned a lot and lost some weight. But her spirits were exceptionally high. She walked downstairs carrying bags of all sizes, wearing sunglasses like a big star, ignoring anyone who spoke to her, and just went home like that. TSK, that girl Schwanger is truly remarkable. She's destined for a life of wealth and prosperity. The elderly folks downstairs all sighed in unison. During that time, the threshold of the matchmaker temple was nearly worn down, all by those seeking marriage prospects, men and women alike. Too many to count. Li Shuangshuang invited me to a coffee shop outside, talking about how good Liu had been to her lately and how incredibly happy she was. Of course I know. Before Liu revealed his true nature, he always acted like a proper gentleman, doing everything impeccably, just like a boyfriend who was almost perfect. But how could there be anyone so perfect in this world? Not only perfect, but also everything you like about them. Such a person sounds problematic at first mention. But Li Shuangshuang, deeply in love, was completely unaware. Just like I was back then, I smiled as Li Shuangshuang told me about which country she and Liu had visited, the beautiful sights they had seen, and the people they had met, how protective Liu was of her. Seeing that I didn't show any envy, she gradually lost interest and slowly fell silent. Country bumpkin, you'll never leave this city in your lifetime, let alone go abroad, even if I tell you. You can't imagine what it's like overseas. Recently, it was clear that Liu was about to take the next step, as he hadn't asked Li Shuangshuang out for several days. To avoid this turmoil and facilitate my future actions, I applied for a business trip in advance and headed south. Fortunately, our organization is quite large, with branches all over the country. Recently, the project I was responsible for required a business transfer center, so I took the initiative to apply and headed south. Because Liyu's next step was to drive a wedge between Li Shuangshuang and her relatives and friends, making her completely isolated. This way, he could take her to a remote island for a year or two without anyone noticing. Finally, he would tell them that Li Shuangshuang had contracted a disease abroad and died unexpectedly, and then pretend to compensate them with a large sum of money. This amount of money meant nothing to them. It was just pocket change, however. Even this pocket change was an amount that an ordinary family could never save up in a lifetime. Based on the image she has built among her relatives and friends over the past 6 months, no one would suspect him. They would also feel that Liu is righteous and kind-hearted. Even though it wasn't his fault, he still gave so much money to his girlfriend's family, ultimately earning himself a good reputation. In this way, he would leave no trace of wrongdoing, not even a stain. Even if he had killed someone, in my previous life, my relationship with Li Shuangshuang eventually fell apart. No matter what I said to her, she always thought I was showing off, so I gradually stopped contacting her. It was precisely because of this that Liu didn't include Li Shuangshuang in his calculations when he reached this step, so after I escaped from the isolated island, she was the only one I could contact. Who would have thought that in the end, I would also die because of her? Sure enough, within a few days, Li Shuangshuang started frantically calling and texting me, complaining about her mother, venting about her father, and even those snobbish relatives. Even the neighbor's dog downstairs wouldn't let her have peace. I pretended to be busy with work. At first, I only replied to her once every 2 days. Really, later, it became once a week. That can't be. In the end, I simply stopped replying to her messages, and when she called, I would say, "I'm busy with work. Gotta go." I never gave her a chance to speak. Gradually, she stopped reaching out to me as well. Sure enough, Liyu's recent move to clear out the people around Li Shuangshuang ended up leaving me out. If I had been cleared out too, things would have been much harder to handle later on. Until one day, I called my mom and asked how Li Shuangshuang was doing now. My mom's disdainful tone came through the phone. She ran away from home, and she took all the valuable things from the house with her. Her mother was so angry she cursed her at the door, saying raising her was worse than raising a dog. In my past life, when I ran away from home, my mom cursed me the same way, though I wasn't as extreme as Li Shuangshuang. When did she leave? It's been a week since they left. Why are you asking this? I'm telling you, if you dare do that, I'll break your legs. A week already? It seems things are progressing much faster in this life than they did in my time. Liu and I dated for 2 years before he started using schemes to cut me off from my family. It's only been a year, and he's already taken Li Shuangshuang to a remote island. I immediately applied to end my business trip, using pregnancy as the reason, saying I needed to go back and prepare for the wedding. After returning home, I received a long-awaited text message from Li Shuangshuang. Han Jianshui, guess where I am? Liu and I are on a little island that belongs to me. This period of time has been the happiest of my life, and I believe I will continue to be happy. I have finally experienced the happiness you once had, but now, it belongs to me. After reading Li Shuangshuang's message, my excitement was beyond words. It was finally coming to an end. My revenge is finally coming to an end. Li Shuangshuang, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Where else in the world could you find a friend as good as me? In my previous life, standing on the island with Liu, I thought I would be reborn here, that there would be a new beginning. Little did I know, the nightmare was just beginning, on this small island, apart from us. Everyone else is a foreigner speaking a language I've never even heard before. Every day, I can only follow Liu, until one day, I met a young man who delivered milk to my house every day. He was only 18 years old, full of youthful energy, and even though we couldn't understand each other's language, I could sense his friendliness through his body language and expressions. I want to communicate with others, but since moving here, Liu has always shut himself in the study, not letting me go out, and not talking to me either, so every day, I take advantage of the brief moments of contact with the young man to learn a few simple words. I was very happy and ran to share my joy with Liu, but suddenly his expression changed. Where did you learn that? Who taught you? I didn't understand what he meant and whispered softly. It was, before I could finish, Liu picked me up and carried me, ignoring my struggles, straight to a basement in the house. I had lived here for so many days and never knew there was a basement. A sudden fear seized me. For a whole year after that, I never left that place. Liu is a devil. He never touched me before because he said he wanted to wait until we got married. Now it seems he has a medical condition that prevents him from doing that kind of thing, so he used all his perverse methods on me. That period was truly a living hell. Every day, I wished the sky would never light up again. His mental state was also erratic. One moment he would hold me, tenderly applying medicine to my wounds, and the next, he would poke his fingers into my injuries, tearing them open even wider. He is a madman, a complete and utter madman. Finally, I took advantage of the moment when his mother called him to sneak away, crawling step by step out of the basement. Fortunately, he never expected that I would have a chance to escape one day, and my phone was still in the room, untouched. The charger was right beside it. I quickly opened my phone, but I was lost looking at the half-empty contact list. Who should I call? His family has immense influence. If I call the police, they could probably move me before the police even finish verifying the situation. Besides, I don't even remember where I am. How would they find me? A year of torment has successfully caused my memory to steadily decline. Suddenly, I remembered. I had told Li Shuangshuang before I came. She must be able to find me. I crouched under the table, trembling as I dialed Li Shuangshuang's number. Fortunately, she answered my call quickly. Shuangshuang, save me. Liu is going to kill me. I'm on the island I told you about before. Come save me. Please, please. I can't hold on much longer. On the other end, Li Shuangshuang fell silent for a moment before asking, are you still on that island now? Yes, I can't run now. I'm still in that villa. Specifically, where exactly? Hearing this question, my hair stood on end. Why was she asking me exactly where I was? I couldn't just stay here waiting for her to come. At that moment, a gentle male voice came from behind me. Jian Shui, what are you doing squatting here? My scalp tingled with shock. Turning around, I saw Liu holding a phone in one hand and a red whip in the other, looking at me gently. From the other end of the phone he held to his ear came Li Shuangshuang's voice. Liu, Jian Shui just told me she's going home. She probably isn't alone. Did she meet someone on the island? Someone who convinced her to leave together? That's not true. That's not true. I heard Li Shuangshuang slandering me and saw Liu's expression change several times before finally settling into his usual violent demeanor. Without a word, the whip lashed down, striking my left eye first, then my arm, neck, leg. He's gone mad. I finally lay on the ground, no longer feeling the cold in my ears. I could hear the insincere pleas of Li Shuangshuang from the still-connected call. While I endured the piercing pain, hatred gathered in my heart. If there is a next life, I will make them pay. I snapped back to reality, only to realize my thoughts had drifted back to the final year of my previous life. I wonder how long Li Shuangshuang can hold on. 3 months later, my phone rang with a call from Li Shuangshuang. I sat at my workstation, answering the call with an expressionless face. Jian Shui. Save me, Liu is a madman, he wants to kill me, please save me. It hurts so much. I shifted to a more comfortable position and continued listening to the call. Oh, really? How is that possible? Isn't Liu the perfect boyfriend? He can give you the happiness you want, and you'll live happily ever after together. Upon hearing me emphasize the word happiness with unmistakable sarcasm, Li Shuangshuang instantly caught on. She angrily shouted, Han Zhengxue, you did this on purpose. Didn't you? You knew all along, didn't you, you bitch. I was laughing heartily over here, while my colleagues nearby cast puzzled glances at me. Let me guess where you're hiding, under the desk like me, haha. I really couldn't hold back, and it made Li Shuangshuang so angry that all she could do was curse the word bitch over there. I stopped laughing. Li Shuangshuang, you should thank me. I haven't called Liu yet, judging by the timing of this call. I know Li Shuangshuang is even worse off than I was back then. This is just the beginning, only 3 months in, and she's already on the verge of losing her mind. From the other end of the phone came Lu Yu's voice calling Li Shuangshuang, along with the sound of her repeatedly kowtowing and begging for mercy. Today, Li Shuangshuang won't die, but she'll wish you were dead. My idea is simple. I want Li Shuangshuang to go completely insane, and then die together with Lu Yu. People like them don't deserve to live in this world. Sure enough, half a month passed, and I never saw Lu Yu show up at Li Shuangshuang's house to announce the news of her death, nor did she contact me again, but I ran into an acquaintance. It's Hao Xian, the wealthy second-generation friend of Lu Yu, who had an affair with Li Shuangshuang. Has Li Shuangshuang returned? He asked me with ill intentions. I was a bit surprised, not expecting him to take the initiative to speak to me. I haven't been in touch with her for a long time. Really? Liu is really playing in a twisted way. What do you mean? I looked at Hao Xian in astonishment. He asked me to seduce his girlfriend. Who would have thought this? Li Shuangshuang is so cheap. She just threw herself at me as soon as I made a move. I feel like my worldview is somewhat crumbling. Was Lu Yu doing it on purpose? I recall that in my previous life, Lu Yu's friends also seemed overly eager, but I didn't think much of it and treated them like my own friends. Only the milk delivery guy on the island was someone I met independently of Lu Yu. Could he also be? My back began to feel cold. Lu Yu is too terrifying. Recalling the information the detective had inquired about, Lu Yu has a dual personality. Along with obsessive-compulsive disorder, mania, and more, it's practically a full set of toxic traits. I understand why he did this. One of his personalities allows him to interact with others like a normal person, with a sense of morality and behavior constrained by reality. Another personality, however, unleashes his previously suppressed emotions, driving him to seek revenge in a frenzy. He had someone seduce me, because only if I cheated would he feel justified in abusing me. He is simply insane. Ding ding ding. The phone suddenly rang, startling me. The caller ID on my phone was even more frightening. It was a string of numbers I knew all too well. Lu Yu's phone number. Why was he calling me? After a moment of hesitation, I still answered the phone. Lu Yu's voice on the other end was as warm and gentle as when we first met. Zhengxue, this is Lu Yu. Do you still remember my phone number? What are you doing? I asked warily. Why wasn't it you who picked up the slip? It was clearly you in the previous life. He's back, but it's okay, since fate has given us another chance to meet. It must mean our connection hasn't been severed. I accidentally caused your death in the previous life. I'm sorry. Hearing his casual apology sent chills down my spine. His I'm sorry concealed a human life. What does he think a life is worth? I tried to slow my voice and calm myself down. What are you talking about? I don't understand. It's okay if you don't understand. I'll come find you after I deal with her. Lu Yu's voice was cheerful. I can't reach Shuangshuang. Can you let me talk to her? I didn't even ask if Li Shuangshuang was by his side, because I knew she must be. Please, I miss her so much. Sure enough, Lu Yu didn't hesitate and directly handed the phone to Li Shuangshuang. I said on the phone, Shuangshuang, did you hear what Lu Yu just said? He's coming to find me. In the end, he still loves me more? The happiness you stole with all your efforts will have to be returned in the end. Aren't you resigned? You can only serve as a stepping stone to my happiness, a mere bystander, forever denied the right to find your own joy. He's about to leave you and come to me. We'll get married in a villa worth billions, surrounded by endless designer jewelry, clothes, and handbags, while you'll rot and decay in a sunless basement. Hearing the rapid breathing and angry growls from the other end of the phone, I knew I was on the verge of success. Li Shuangshuang would never allow me to find happiness. Ha ha ha. The phone was suddenly taken by Lu Yu, who said cheerfully, Zhengxue, wait for me to come find you. You want. The words that followed were abruptly cut off, followed by the sound of a phone hitting the ground and a heavy object falling. I could already imagine it. Li Shuangshuang. Taking advantage of Liu turning around to talk to me, picked up the sharp blade beside her without hesitation and stabbed it into Liu's chest. Liu never expected that the very thing meant to send her to her death would end up being used on himself. This is finally coming to an end. Liu is dead, and Li Shuangshuang has no chance of walking out of that island alive, as it is filled with Liu's people everywhere. Once she steps out of that villa, she will be discovered. And the Liu family will immediately learn about Liu's death. Faced with the murderer of their son, would their family ever let her off easily? Hearing the sound of a sharp blade repeatedly plunging into a chest and being pulled out over and over again from the other end of the phone, I smiled with satisfaction. Did I say anything? I was just imagining the happy future that might unfold with Liu. 3 days later, I reported to the police that my friend had gone missing on a small island. The police from the country to which the island belongs went to investigate, but they were shocked by what they found on the isolated island. The incident made the news that very day. Inside, a female corpse was discovered, covered in countless wounds, with barely any part of her body left intact. However, judging by the amount of blood on the ground, there should have been another body here. After a search, a male finger was found in the corner, with no physiological reaction at the severed end, indicating it was likely cut off after death. They also unearthed dozens of skeletal remains in the backyard of the villa, all belonging to female bodies. The incident caused a huge uproar, as they released photos of Li Shuangshuang from when she was alive. The Liu family didn't even dare to announce the news of their son's death, especially since Liu's finger was found there, though his body had already been taken back by them. I can see they're also feeling stifled, not even daring to hold a proper funeral for their deceased son openly, so I sent out all the evidence collected by the detective. In no time, the entrance of the Liu Corporation was crowded with family members demanding answers. They also ended up behind bars. Thus, the once richest man in the capital city fell from grace. Want some ice cream? Although Qinzhao isn't particularly wealthy or outstanding, and his personality is a bit immature with many little flaws, he is at least good-looking. Yet I feel content. This is what a normal person's relationship should be like. Alright, after hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. 11 Shopping Festival live streaming promotion. My husband's clumsy secretary volunteered. Mr. Fu, please believe that I can definitely handle it well this time. Her husband was captivated by her and insisted on letting her manage the control room for the live stream. The highly motivated hosts were ready for action, each passionately promoting their own products. As the clock struck 11:11, all the hosts in the live stream shouted in unison that the products were now available. In the next second, the original price of $999 was slashed to an ultra-low price of $99. And the link was sold 1,000,000 times. I know, my husband's company is really finished. In my previous life, to prevent Tangwan from causing trouble in the control room, I ignored my husband's repeated warnings and threats and insisted on driving her out. The live streaming sales exceeded 100 million, but my husband angrily asked for a divorce. It was a perfect opportunity for a newcomer to gain experience. You just had to interfere. I explained to him that I had personally witnessed Tangwan changing the price to $99, but my husband pushed me to the ground. The company's host stepped forward to testify on my behalf, presenting evidence of Tangwan's previous mistakes in product and price settings on the control system. Other company directors, upon seeing the evidence, strictly ordered the legal department to recover the losses. Tangwan, unable to repay the $3 million debt, jumped from the company's rooftop. To avenge Tangwan, my husband locked me in the company warehouse freezer and froze me to death. Zhou Qingye, it's just a measly $3 million. You used to give away $3 million in fan benefits without batting an eye, so why are you targeting Tangwan specifically? Since you care so much about those products, I'll make you and these products accompany Tangwan in death. Let's see who would still buy products stored with a corpse. I was frozen to death in the freezer, my entire body covered in blue and purple bruises. Before I died, I swore that if I could start over, I would never stop Tangwan from randomly changing prices again. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of the 11 Shopping Festival live broadcast. Qingye, Director Fu said we must let Tangwan into the control room. This involves over $1 billion in traffic transactions. If you don't want her in, you can make the call. Watching Tangwan curiously peering through the glass door, I couldn't help but shudder for a moment. After making eye contact with me, Tangwan pushed open the glass door with wide eyes. Sister Qingye, I knew you wouldn't ignore Mr. Fu. Mr. Fu said that if I can lead this control room well, my resume will look impressive, and I'll have a chance for a promotion and a raise. Before I could even speak, Tangwan raised her phone, which was on a video call. Mr. Fu. I told you Sister Chinya isn't as heartless as you said. Even though I'm a bit clumsy, I'll definitely work hard. The colleague beside me frowned uncomfortably. Chinya, sis. Before the colleague could dissuade her, Tangwan flipped her phone, aiming Fu Rongting's furious face at me. Zhou Chinya, put away your little schemes of seeking credit. This time, the Double 11 shopping festival must give the newcomers a chance. I didn't respond. But Tangwan smiled and leaned closer to the screen, starting to act coquettishly. Boss Fu, for newbies like us, we really need more opportunities. Although Sister Chinya always likes to put down newcomers, with you in charge this time, she definitely won't do that. Even the new anchors who hadn't taken the stage nodded in agreement. Yes, Sister Chinya, Chairman Fu said we should give newcomers a chance. The Double 11 Shopping Festival is a great time to make money and build up performance. You can't give all the opportunities to the veterans you're mentoring. Tangwan playfully stuck out her tongue at the screen, and everyone's phones immediately received a work notification. Double 11 Shopping Festival livestream anchor replacement details. Out of 27 live streaming rooms, only the 5 veteran anchors I brought with me were left. Upon seeing the notice, the new anchors cheered in unison, and before rushing into their live rooms, they gave Tangwan a big heart sign. Tangwan awkwardly squeezed past her colleagues, hunched her shoulders, and sat down in front of the central control screen. I clenched my fists tightly, but still held back my anger without saying a word. I'd like to see if you can still laugh so happily when billions in profit turn into billions in losses. Seeing that I hadn't spoken for a while, Tangwan pouted in displeasure. Chinya, you used to be so resistant to me entering the control room. Every time I came in, you'd squawk like a screaming chicken, non-stop. Today, the screaming chicken isn't squawking, and I'm actually a bit unaccustomed to it. She rested her face in her hands, but her elbow accidentally pressed the all-channel call button. Hearing her words, the hosts on camera struggled to suppress their smiles, yet Tangwan, as if still unaware, flashed a smile at me. I heard that Sister Chinya made her fortune through live streaming sales. I heard from President Fu that back then, to go viral, you ate a cow dung hot pot and even paired it with surströmming soup. After eating that, your mouth must have tasted like a sewer. When you went back at night, President Fu must have slept a full 800 meters away from you. Ha ha ha. No wonder they say the bed in the CEO's house has to be 800 meters long. It must be to avoid Sister Chinya, who reeks of feces, but it seems Sister Chinya doesn't have to worry about that now. President Fu hasn't been home for over half a year, has he? Tangwan pretended to look clueless and laughed. On the central control screen, a few newly joined live streamers even burst into laughter right in front of the camera. Fu Rongting hadn't returned home for over half a year, and Tangwan had joined the company around the same time. When the two of them were exchanging flirtatious glances at the company, I chose to endure it for the sake of the company's reputation. I just never expected that all the efforts I made in the past to help Fu Rongting gain a foothold on the internet, even going so far as to play the clown to attract traffic, would end up being turned into a joke by Fu Rongting himself. The sound of laughter grew louder and louder through the headphones. Only then did Tangwan snap back to reality and lift her arm from the button. Sister Chinya, why is this a full channel call? Oh my. I'm so sorry. As a newbie like me, it's my first time hosting such a big event like the Double 11 Shopping Festival. I kept a cold face and didn't want to respond. The broadcast alarm on the desk rang, and Tangwan didn't even greet the streamers before directly pushing the live broadcast switch. Several experienced streamers scrambled to adjust their state, while the remaining streamers continued to laugh and joke on the screen. After realizing the broadcast had started, they even playfully leaned in to make funny faces at the camera. I opened my phone, stared at the work transfer notice issued by Fu Rongting, and with a swift decision, I marked all the veteran streamers I was in charge of as on leave. Fu Rongting didn't hesitate either, directly approving everyone's applications and, as if in retaliation, changed my leave status to an absence. He then took a screenshot and posted it in the group chat, criticizing me extensively. Supervisors like Zhou Qingye, who throw tantrums, are irresponsible and suppress newcomers, must be dealt with seriously. For this year's Double 11 Shopping Festival, all the control activities will be led by Tangwan as the overall commander. Tangwan, entrusted with this important task, replied in the group chat in a high-pitched voice, "Thank you for your trust, Mr. Fu. I definitely won't let you down, even if I have to use every trick in the book. I'll help you make money." I was so irritated by Tangwan that my scalp tingled. Glancing at the absence notification on my phone, I leisurely settled into a corner of the control room, unable to hold back a slight smile. The veteran host, who had been marked as on leave, didn't hesitate for a moment and immediately stepped out of the live broadcast room. "Qingye, thank goodness you saved us. Even if we don't hit our performance targets this time, it's fine." but if this had turned into a broadcasting accident, I can't even imagine how much we'd have to pay in compensation. Looking at the lineup of all newcomers, I curled my lips in a sarcastic smile. In my previous life, if I hadn't intervened, the broadcast accident caused by Tangwan would have cost over $1 billion, so I'm also very curious, since Fu Rongting likes Tangwan so much. Can you really help her shoulder this debt of over $1 billion, as time ticked by? The product that was supposed to be introduced in 5 minutes was stammered through for over 10 minutes. The product that the brand spent a significant amount of money to highlight was hastily covered in just 5 or 6 minutes because the new host couldn't memorize the product introduction. The live stream, which had been hyped up to over 100,000 viewers, saw its numbers plummet to less than 10,000 due to the host's lack of professionalism. The comment section was filled with criticism, LOL. Talking about napkins being environmentally friendly and bringing up how papermaking used rotten fishing nets. Does the host have no education or common sense? Recommending carbonated drinks and joking about how fat people should drink less. We fat people paid for this. Who asked a salesperson to give unsolicited advice? I sat to the side, watching Tangwan frantically adjust the data on the console. Her phone kept ringing, one call after another, all from brand representatives making inquiries to stabilize the data flow. I watched helplessly as she poured all the operational investment funds into the live stream with the lowest traffic. Fu Rongting couldn't get through to Tangwan, so he called me instead. Remembering what Fu Rongting had said about giving the newcomers room to operate, I simply turned my phone off. Only after the data had barely stabilized did Tangwan dare to pick up her phone, faced with the brand's questioning. She didn't apologize or try to salvage the situation. Instead, she broke down in tears over the phone with the brand representative. I didn't want it to be like this either. I'm just a newbie. Can't you be a little more forgiving towards newcomers? The brand representative was so furious that they started cursing. We spent tens of millions on promotions for the Double 11 shopping festival. If we give you leniency, who will give us leniency? Will you take responsibility if we lose money? Tangwan, who was being scolded, didn't dwell on it. Instead, she angrily hung up the phone. She called Fu Rongting back, but found that Fu Rongting's phone was completely unreachable, so she simply laid her head on the desk and started crying. A colleague beside her exclaimed in shock, "Products are being pulled. So many brands are pulling their products. Qingye, all the low-profit gimmick items have been removed." "Yeah, Qingye, maybe you should check your phone, mister." Fu posted in the group chat. Several colleagues exchanged uneasy glances, their faces looking extremely grim. I waved my hand indifferently, completely unfazed by how harshly Fu Rongting was cursing in the group chat. I had already heard far worse from him in my previous life. When I drove Tangwan out of the control room, with my arms around the shoulders of a few veteran streamers, I ignored Tangwan, who was sitting in a chair and crying louder and louder. Since this all-nighter has unexpectedly turned into a holiday, I'll treat you all to coffee. Our laughter and chatter formed a stark contrast to Tangwan's demeanor. It was only when I grew bored in the cafe that I finally turned my phone back on. Fu Rongting re-added the brand representatives to a group chat, but Tangwan was not included. Zhou Qingye, as the head of the live streaming team, you bear undeniable responsibility for this streaming mishap. Now, you must present a reasonable solution to the brand representatives. The brand representatives didn't hesitate to tag me one by one in the group chat, saying, "So you're the head of the live streaming team, right? Don't you know how important the Double 11 shopping festival is for brand promotions? A bunch of useless streamers in the live room can't even get their ad copy right. Did you take the hundreds of thousands in slot fees to the mental hospital to get your brains fixed?" Some even went as far as sending a 60-second voice message. "Your company is still doing your damn live streams, telling consumers that my 89 yuan eyeliner isn't expensive, and even daring to openly challenge consumers. Your eyes aren't blind, you can see the commission, right? To take away our livelihood, you're willing to throw away your own means of survival." Faced with the barrage of messages in the group, as the admin, I immediately enabled mute for all members. Then posted a screenshot of my dismissal. "I'm sorry, but I really don't know the situation with the central control, Mr. Fu. Today's Double 11 shopping festival was personally overseen by someone you arranged. You can't just shift the blame onto me if something goes wrong, can you? Also, Mr. Fu, I don't care that you offended the brand and messed up the Double 11 shopping festival for Tangwan's sake. I just left the divorce agreement on your desk, so remember to sign it." After the mute was lifted, the group fell into a deathly silence. Fu Rongting's call came faster than expected. After answering, I decisively held the phone away from my ear. "Zhou Qingye, are you out of your mind? It's just asking you to take the fall for Tangwan. You're the head of the live streaming team." And she's just a newcomer. How dare you say you have no responsibility at all? And what the hell is this divorce agreement? With so many brand partners in the group, you bring up divorce with me. Are you trying to ruin me? Only after the other side had completely quieted down did I bring the phone close to my ear. Fu Rongting, I suggest you sign it quickly. The divorce agreement is full of favorable terms for you. I only want the villa in Qingshan. Don't wait until I expose more things. Leaving you with nothing but regret, after finishing my coffee, I leisurely returned to the company with a few streamers. In the control room, Tangwan saw me through the glass door and walked toward me with a file, smiling. This is the freshly signed divorce agreement by Mr. Fu. To keep Sister Qingye from worrying any further, Mr. Fu also included a termination notice for you. So Sister Qingye can continue enjoying her coffee downstairs without a care, looking at the two agreements. I suppressed the corners of my mouth that were about to curl up, staring at Tangwan's smug face. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows in delight. And, Sister Qingye, this year's Double 11 shopping festival, Mr. Fu has decided to implement my new plan. We won't be selling branded goods, only fresh produce from our own partnered suppliers. Faced with Tangwan's blatant provocation, I shrugged indifferently. Suit yourself. Whether you sell your dad or your mom, I have no objections. After all, barring any surprises, once 11 arrives, regardless of whether Tangwan corrects the price as she did in the previous life, the only outcome awaiting Fu Rongting is complete ruin. Tangwan was momentarily stunned by my words. Just as I was holding the contract and preparing to leave, two new hosts who should have been live streaming rushed out. Zhou Qingye, you're just walking away after resigning. Do you have any idea that you've cost all of us our commissions for today's broadcasts? I frowned. Because of me, it's precisely because of you that President Fu had to cancel the brand's product. How dare you say it's not because you posted about wanting a divorce in the group chat? Nowadays, brands care about their reputation. By posting that, aren't you just trying to get back at us after being kicked out of the Double 11 shopping festival? I laughed in disbelief. So you're saying brands only care about their reputation, only care about my relationship with President Fu? Right. The hosts stumbling through product introductions, promoting items with zero emotional intelligence, and the traffic pool being mismanaged. None of that matters, right? The two hosts stammered under my questioning, simply glaring at me. When the control room was singled out, Tangwan still seemed unconvinced. We're all new to this. And it's normal to make mistakes on such a big project for the first time, right, Sister Qingye? There's no need for you to keep harping on our mistakes. Besides, if you hadn't mentioned in the group chat that you and President Fu were getting a divorce, the brand would definitely have been more forgiving. In fact, the brand is just uneasy about senior management bringing up divorce during work hours. I was stunned by Tangwan's logic. All right, since you say it's because of my divorce, should I just tear up the divorce agreement? I made a move to tear up the divorce agreement, but Tangwan grabbed my hand to stop me. So what if there are no brand collaborations? Mr. Fu has already taken my suggestion to switch to the company's own products. I looked at Tangwan as if she were a clown, slapping her hand away with a cold, speechless expression. Since you want to broadcast, then go do it properly. Double 11 Shopping Festival. You're the first ones to have a live stream that keeps going offline so frequently. After leaving the company, I hurried to the law firm and submitted all the evidence regarding my marriage to Fu Rongting and the company's operations before the lawyer's office closed. After receiving the lawyer's assurance that the company's bankruptcy wouldn't affect me, my long-held worries finally eased. The live stream host was still like forcing a duck onto a perch. The supposed traffic surge during the post-work rush, even with the boost from the Double 11 shopping festival, actually fell short of more than half the usual amount. Under Tangwan's direction, some new hosts even started adopting a pitiful sales approach, one with a thin mat, another with a bald head. Any ailment could be made up on the spot. It wasn't until the clock struck for the Double 11 shopping festival that the live stream host finally breathed a sigh of relief, shouting loudly, "It's live." I stared at my phone screen, and as expected, the 9 link popped up right away. The Qingdao prawns provided by the company were sold by Tangwan at a price of 9 for £3 with free shipping, totaling 2 million orders, and this was just the purchase volume from one live streaming room. The comment section also exploded. 9 for £3. If I don't buy 100 orders, I'd be letting down my prawn-loving brain. Ha 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 ha. I used a clicker for 2 minutes and grabbed over 300 orders. I have to say, FY live streaming company is truly generous. Looking at the astonishing transaction volume, I could already imagine Fu Rongting's furious face. Back when I first started live streaming sales, I had no idea how to set up product links, let alone adjust prices or negotiate profit margins with brands. That night, I earned 2 million in advertising fees, but because I had set the wrong price. I had no choice but to brazenly announce on screen that I would personally subsidize 3 million for my fans. The 3 million yuan price-breaking strategy made me an overnight sensation, but that night, Fu Rongting stared at the brand's 1 million yuan demand for payment and smoked all night. Zhou Qingye, it's one thing to not make money, but a whole million, do you have a pig's brain in your head? Later, as the business grew bigger and bigger, I became more and more meticulous and demanding about live streaming. I just never expected that what Fu Rongting actually loved most was stupidity. The phone kept ringing one call after another, so I simply turned it off and had a wonderful beauty sleep. The next morning, I went to the company to handle the resignation handover. As soon as I entered the company, I realized the entire place was filled with a stifling atmosphere. The usually bustling live streaming team, in particular, was now completely empty. I took the elevator upstairs to find HR. The moment the elevator doors opened, a file was thrown out right past me. Are you an idiot, Tangwan? You listed the price at 9.9 instead of 49.9, and it took 3 minutes to take down the link. Do you have any idea how much loss you've caused the company, having been the CEO for so long? This is the first time I've seen Fu Rongting so furious that his face turned red. Tangwan timidly shrank back. Mr. Fu, it's my first time in the control room too. Newcomers always need some room for error. What the hell do you mean by room for error? Whose room for error is worth over 1 billion? You lost 40 per order, and you sold a whopping 6 million units with just one link. Fu Rongting no longer defended Tangwan at this point, directly pointing at her and scolding. If this money can't be recovered, I'll have the legal department sue every single one of you involved. Tangwan wiped her tears and accidentally made eye contact with me. She immediately pulled me over. Mr. Fu, isn't Sister Qingye also at fault in this matter? If she hadn't brought the divorce issue to the brand's attention, they would never have withdrawn the product. Having found someone to shift the blame onto, everyone immediately joined in the attack. Yes, Mr. Fu, using our own products was already a last resort. If it weren't for Zhou Qingye causing the brand to withdraw the product, we definitely wouldn't have suffered such heavy losses. I couldn't be bothered to argue. Instead, I made a direct call to the brand side. This is Zhou Qingye from FY Live Streaming Company. I'm currently in the process of resigning, and before handing over, I wanted to ask everyone if you have any suggestions for the upcoming Double 11 Shopping Festival live streams. Suggestions? A bunch of fools who can't even explain the products properly, and you have the nerve to ask for suggestions. If it weren't for you hosts who can't even speak clearly, which brand would issue a composition statement during the Double 11 Shopping Festival, especially that idiot in the control room? I only found out from operations yesterday that they poured all the streaming budget into those sympathy-baiting live streams. Don't you know our brand is a luxury label? The swearing on the other end of the phone grew filthier, lasting a full 10 minutes. Tangwan, unwilling to back down, snatched the phone and retorted, "Aren't you pulling the products just because Zhou Qingye is getting a divorce?" There was a brief pause on the other end, followed by even louder cursing. Who the hell cares if you're getting a divorce? Even if you married 100 concubines, what's it got to do with me? This is about the live stream. You people at FY have tumors for brains. The call ended with a busy tone. Fu Rongting stood before me, his face ashen. I know the streaming mishap wasn't your fault, but as the head of the live streaming team, I still expect you to take responsibility. I frowned in confusion for a moment before suddenly realizing, of course, I'll take responsibility. I was absent on Double 11 Shopping Festival Day, so I remember not to give me the full attendance bonus this month. As for the N+1, Zhou Qingye, at this critical moment of the company's life and death, what kind of joke are you making? I'm not joking. Didn't you sign the divorce agreement yesterday? The company is yours, and of course, the debt is yours too. It has nothing to do with me, so is it illegal for me to be happy? Fu Rongting recalled the divorce agreement, his face instantly turning as pale as snow. Tangwan, unaware of the danger, leaned in and said, "Sister Qingye, that's a loss of over 1 billion. How can you bear to let President Fu shoulder it alone?" I smiled and curled my lips. Of course, I can't bear to let him pay it all alone, so isn't it a blessing from heaven that he's also been given a child? If one generation can't finish paying it off, there's always the next. Someday it will be paid back. Fu Rongting snapped back to reality and rushed over excitedly to support me. "Qingye, you're pregnant, not me. It's your new little secretary." I took out the ultrasound report that was tucked inside yesterday's divorce agreement and handed it to Fu Rongting with a beaming smile. "The fetus is already 3 months old, according to my doctor friend who looked at the ultrasound. It's a big, chubby boy." Tangwan's face turned pale, desperately trying to snatch back the report. "No, that's not it, Mr. Fu. This child isn't yours. No, I'm not even pregnant at all." Faced with billions in debt, Tangwan just wanted to quickly cut ties with Fu Rongting. Fu Rongting's face instantly stiffened, then he stared intently at Tangwan. Are you pregnant or not? Terrified, Tangwan crouched on the ground, covering her head. I'm not pregnant, I'm not. I just wanted to upset Zhou Qingye, who told her to cling to the position of Mrs. Fu and never let go. Fu Rongting gritted his teeth and nodded, taking out his phone to call the legal department, due to a major personal error by Tangwan, the overall head of the live streaming team, which resulted in an actual loss of 1.6 billion. Compensation must be made within the deadline, otherwise, we will proceed with a lawsuit. I watched all of this coldly, suddenly recalling that in my previous life, when Fu Rongting learned that Tangwan was burdened with 3 million in debt, his first thought wasn't to help her repay it, but to resent me for exposing Tangwan. Upon hearing Fu Rongting's decision, Tangwan's face turned pale, and she looked around in confusion. Why should your debt be pursued from me? I really have no relationship with Fu Rongting. A notification chimed on the phones, and a lawyer's statement popped up on everyone's screen. All the new streamers who entered the live broadcast room yesterday and caused brand withdrawal losses exceeding 500,000 yuan have been held accountable by Fu Rongting under the pretext of work errors. The small streamer who was shouting yesterday collapsed to the ground. Legs weak, Mr. Fu, we entered the live broadcast with your permission. The content in the live broadcast room was all approved by Tangwan. What does brand withdrawal have to do with us? Nonsense. It was clearly you who acted first and reported later, changing the direction of the live broadcast first. I had no choice but to agree to your changes to the live content. Besides, the company's losses are the company's business. It's your own decision-making mistake, Fu Rongting. Why should we take responsibility for you? Tangwan looked defiant, then threw her employee badge to the ground. I quit. I'm resigning. The billions in debt have nothing to do with me. The other newcomers followed Tangwan's lead, tossing their employee badges to the ground as well. That's right, we quit. It shouldn't have been us in the live stream yesterday in the first place. It was all forced on us by Mr. Fu. We're just trainees who need training. And yet the company is exploiting us like this. We quit. Fu Rongting pointed at the crowd, but he was so angry he couldn't speak. You want to resign? Is that it? Fine. Each and every one of you can expect to receive a lawyer's letter. The new hosts left one after another, leaving only the experienced hosts I had mentored still standing in place, before Fu Rongting could say a word. Several of them pulled out their resignation letters. Mr. Fu, since the company is about to go bankrupt, we'd better not stay and add to your burden. Good luck, Mr. Fu. Fu Rongting glared with bloodshot eyes until the HR department accepted the last resignation letter. Zhou Qingye, you can't leave. FY was built by us together. You can't abandon me at a time like this. These accounts were all managed by you personally, and the fans trust you the most. Go and try to salvage the situation now. Help me contact them for refunds. As long as the losses aren't too great, I'm sure I can make a comeback. I sidestepped to avoid Fu Rongting's attempt to grab my hand. What comeback, Mr. Fu? I've already sent all the evidence of your embezzlement from the company's public accounts to the board of directors over the years. Do you think you owe less money than Tangwan? And now you have debts to pay off, and I'm all for giving newcomers a chance. Not just Tangwan, but the child in her belly. If it can be born in a few months, it will definitely help you pay off your debts too. A newborn is the freshest newcomer, with unlimited potential. Someone like me, who enjoys suppressing newcomers, certainly can't join you in Tangwan. Fu Rongting stared wide-eyed without responding, his chest heaving violently. The elevator chimed again, and several directors, their faces flushed red, immediately began shouting at Fu Rongting as soon as they saw him. Fu Rongting, embezzling over 80 million from the company's funds, Double 11 shopping festival, and you still dare to cause such a mess. If you don't give us an explanation today, we will definitely not let you off easy. Fu Rongting was surrounded tightly by the board members. The HR and finance departments exchanged a glance and used the last of the company's funds to pay out salaries and N+1 compensation. 9 for 3 pounds of shrimp became a trending topic. Fu Rongting still managed to maintain a smile in front of the media cameras. RFY Entertainment has long had its own fresh produce supply. This is RFY own freezing factory. With a stockpile of a full 300,000 kilograms, we can definitely ensure that every consumer who manages to grab a shrimp gets to eat one. I tapped my temple and shook my head with a hint of amusement. In my previous life, when Fu Rongting locked me in the cold storage, all the shrimp stored there had already spoiled. It was only when I smelled the foul odor that I remembered. Once, when Tangwan accompanied Fu Rongting on a business trip, she directly ordered the workers to temporarily disable the quick freeze function just so she could eat the freshest shrimp. I didn't pay much attention to such matters at the time. Later, when Tangwan came to me boasting about how she had eaten live shrimp for 3 whole days, I realized the cold storage had been shut down for her for 3 full days. On the TV screen, Fu Rongting slowly pushed open the cold storage door, and a foul stench forced the reporter to step back several paces. Oh my god, this is practically a preservation base for rotten meat. FY treats consumers like a garbage disposal station. How can they serve this kind of food to people eager to grab the headlines? The reporter rushed inside, pointing the camera at boxes of shrimp covered in mold spots. FY the trending topic of treating human life as worthless skyrocketed. Fu Rongting checked each box in disbelief. No, it can't be, these shrimp were all from a month ago, he suddenly realized, then took out his phone and growled through gritted teeth. Tangwan, when you shut down the cold storage half a month ago, how many days exactly did you turn it off? Tangwan didn't answer on the other end and directly hung up the phone. Fu Rongting had no time to get angry and began driving the reporters away one by one. No filming, no one is allowed to film, there's nothing wrong with these goods are all fresh from half a month ago. In the vast cold storage room, a game of cat and mouse immediately began, until the last reporter finished gathering footage and ran out. Several people instinctively slammed the cold storage door shut, completely trapping Fu Rongting inside. The cold storage door was pounded loudly, but the reporters paid no mind. That cold storage room clearly has no refrigeration, the shrimp have already spoiled. Fu Rongting is involved in such shady dealings, keeping him locked up for a while won't kill him. The reporters left in small groups, leaving only Fu Rongting struggling in the cold storage. The helplessness and despair I felt in my past life, now he could finally experience it too. After the divorce decree was issued, Fu Rongting was still lying in the hospital. The cold storage had left him half paralyzed. Worse news was that, at the very same hospital and at that very moment, Tangwan had also scheduled an abortion procedure. After I wheeled Fu Rongting to the obstetrics and gynecology department, I looked at Tangwan, who was clutching her lower abdomen as if she had accomplished something great, and whispered an even worse piece of news into Fu Rongting's ear. You have oligospermia, which makes it difficult for you to have children in this lifetime. Now, with your legs paralyzed and your child gone, your life truly has no hope left. Fu Rongting's eyes blazed with fury as he wheeled his chair straight toward Tangwan, and the two of them wrestled together like madmen. Fu Rongting, you're just a useless waste. Without Tangwan, what are you? You managed to ruin such a big company. It serves you right that you're paralyzed from the waist down. Fu Rongting refused to back down, slapping Tangwan viciously several times. If it weren't for you seducing me, how could I have broken off with Zhou Qingye? You were greedy for vanity and aborted my son. I'll kill you right now. I elegantly left the hospital in my high heels. The text message for successful phone registration popped up, and I smiled as I opened the group chat for the live streaming team. Sisters, I didn't let you shine during this Double 11 shopping festival, but next month's Double 12 shopping festival, no one is allowed to drop the ball. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.